Hello and welcome to sonicacademy.com. My name's Paul Hamill, and right now we are joined on the line all the way to Turin in Italy. We're joined by Hugo to talk about his upcoming project, Fringe in the Box. Hello, Hugo.
Hello, guys. Hello.
How's things in Turin today?
Yeah. Sun is shining, fortunately.
Yeah,
So all is cool.
makes a change then, huh?
Yeah.
I see in the background there you've a nice little bit of product placement. We have your upcoming 12-inch Fringe in the Box. It's a rather exciting and unusual concept behind this 12-inch. Do you want to give us a bit of background on it?
Yes, I'm here to tell you the story about this project, Fringe in the Box. And this story is about the stems to and the desire to chart a new exchange and relation between the world of jazz and the world of electronic music, especially in our case, dance-oriented. I mean, during the Turin Jazz Festival days, I and my colleague Francesco Pistoia is also a musician and producer and the director of the festival, the Fringe Jazz Festival, Furio di Castri. We invited 30 musicians in this box, a beautiful apartment in the center of Turin. And then we asked the musician to play solo sessions with their instrument. And this after all this job, I selected and cutted the parts, some interesting part in this huge library, and then I shared it with producers and friends all over the world to produce dance music. And this is our first son, 12-inch that will be out in a few days. And now I would like to show you how you can use jazz sound, jazz samples to produce kind of organic techno.
Okay, so these are all real live instruments that you recorded in this session with various instrumentalists. Presumably, you took away the stems and just the raw audio, and you began sampling it. Do you want to have a look at the project then and see show us how you started it off?
Sure. First of all, I would like to show you this instrument we call the Furiosator. Is a selection of samples of raped and violated double bass. And we can find some interesting sound, really organic, really well recorded. And we should start with a kick just to give a tempo. And here, for example, this kind of weird double bass sounds, I would use it for kind of percussion instruments. I have a pattern already recorded here. And what I do normally to give more randomness, static pattern, I would put, first of all, an high-pass filter to cut some bottom on it. And then I will use this delay, this nice delay. And I will control the sound of this delay with this LFO. So you can see here in that the sound works randomly, following this random LFO, just to give more randomness to the sound, to the pattern. I mean.
And the source sample here came from what instrument?
It's a double bass. It's a double bass violated with punch it, scratched it on the chord. We used the bow to punch it anyway.
Yeah, very good.
Using
it.
Clever, really interesting sounds, like organic percussion sounds. I mean, and then I normally use this MIDI randomizer on the MIDI note of this MIDI instrument to add still more random to the notes, so you can feel that the pattern is changing all the time when it's played. Okay, we can go ahead, just focusing on the bass sound. I should choose the sample from the library I told you before, and I will go for a double bass loop sound. Okay, as soon as I'm happy with the loop portion of the sample, I can use an high pass filter to clean the bottom of it, and with a little trigger following the kick, I will pilot the sidechain compressor to give the kick more space. We can go ahead with a shaker. I'm still going for a sound of the library. It's a real shaker, really well recorded. I used an MS stereo technique to record almost all the instruments.
Okay, what's the automation you have there on your clip?
Pardon?
What's the automation on the clip you have?
It's a volume automation. Simple volume automation to give it more groove.
And at what stage did you use the mid and side processing? Was that actually in the studio, or are you using it in the box here with Ableton?
I used it during the take session, the recording sessions. Yes. And I found it really interesting because it's really flexible. You can still mix the stereo spread after it's recorded instead, and so it's really cool to pilot still the stereo widespread during the mixing, I mean.
Yeah.
And another great advantage of this technique that is really mono-compatible, so you don't have phase problem or whatever. I can go ahead here trying to find some cool hypnotic sounds from a saxophone, for example. I'm going to choose, for example, this sample. Normally, I love to split it in different slices and playing it by MIDI. So, for example, here we have the rough sample. Here we have the sample just cutted in different slices, and it's really funny to see how you can find hypnotic pattern and grooves from real instruments like this one. I will give it more body, more crispness. Okay, and filtering it, you can achieve really interesting pattern and sound. Okay, now we have a kind of harmonic bass to play maybe a synth on it. I'm going to use one of my favorite synthesizers, is the Mono Machine from Electron. Okay. What normally is also to find some samples from all the jazz records. I have a beautiful record here. And now I'm gonna show you the way I sample it and I use it in techno tracks. I already have an audio track loaded here, ready to sample it. Here we go.
So are you basically just dropping the needle anywhere in the track and see what comes out?
Exactly. And then what I normally do is decide to, if it's the chance to cut it in different slices, as I did with the saxophone before, or just keeping it just like that, and maybe trying to add some plugins after. To make it move in a certain way, right?
Yeah.
For example, in this case, it's an atmospheric sound, so I will go for it. I will try to open it in a certain way. I normally use Reactor to do that.
Okay, so what's going on inside Reactor then that you're processing it with?
I normally use this kind of plugin. They give them kind of grain. It's kind of grain delay.
Okay.
Really cool. With a resonator and two different delays and auto freeze.
But you find a lot of the time when you're going looking for samples, does it always happen quite organically, or can it sometimes you try and find something and you can never quite get there?
Yeah, sure. It's always you discover with this kind of plugin, and you discover always different way to use it, different results. And we can go back also to this part. Okay, now we have a good bass, so we can find again the harmony on this track. And I'm going now to select samples from the Fringe in the Box library. They should fit quite well with it. Same thing for the drum section. I'm going to pick up a sample from the Fringe in the Box library that should fit quite good. See this one.
How did you find Ableton's warping with the different types of instruments that you were using? Were you having to apply different warp settings for depending on the type of instrument, or what was your what kind of rules did you play by?
But normally, if the sound is really important in the track, I mean, like a lead sound, like drums, bass, lead sound. I mean, I prefer to cut the sample in slices, so I can control all the parts in a better way. If the sound is a kind of background sounds, I normally prefer to use it like an audio loop, and then inside Ableton Live, giving it more edit. I mean, volume or effects or whatever. So in this case, I just need the right symbol of the drum section, so I can use just the audio loop and then try to find the right loop. For example, like this. I can select only this part.
Is the process you used when working with this kind of material very similar to the process you would use if you were producing with your plugins or whatever? Do you always start with the bass line, or is it the samples that come first, or the drums? You know, how would it compare?
My music is focused on groove and rhythm because it's dance music. So normally I start with the groove. So maybe the kick and the relation between kick and bass, sub bass, for example, and then I build up the song from this normally.
And your drums and your percussion are known for being particularly tight. You know, you get quite complex grooves going, but they tend to sound quite simple at the same time. What kind of tips or techniques could you give Sonic Academy users as to how to achieve that particular sound that you're kind of known for?
In my approach, I see the mixing like sculpture the spectrum of frequencies. So, for example, for the sub basses that are normally quite tough to manage, I imagine the sub part, the bottom part of the spectrum, the low part of the spectrum, like a puzzle, and you need to pick the right sounds that fit in each part. For example, the kick is almost ever divided in different parts. The sub, the body of the kick, and then the top of the kick, and the sub bass must oscillate in this range of frequencies, and that's it for me. It's really helpful sometimes to use side chaining, especially for the sub bass, to avoid interaction of sub frequencies that sometimes are really annoying.
Did you have was it quite a challenge mixing double bass sounds that are, you know, organically produced with the more electronic sounds in terms of finding the right frequencies within it? Do you use any kind of frequency analyzer, or how do you sort of make them all fit?
Yeah, sure. I have my spectrum analyzer always opened in the second screen, and it helped me quite a lot to find the good relation between sounds, and just to feel to see the sound. I mean, the frequency of the sound. Sometimes you can't hear it, but you just can see it, and sometimes it's really helpful, especially for the stereo aspect of things. And the spectrum shows you if you are in a wrong phase alignment or whatever, and it's really good because sometimes ears are not enough to realize that.
What is the spectrum analyzer you're using in the background there?
I'm using the native of the RME audio card.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about your drum bus? What do you typically do? You have a standard chain that you apply to your drum bus all the time?
For the drum section, I normally will go for kind of tape simulator, just to give to the drums a little bit of crispness and crunchiness.
Okay, which tape simulator?
Lately, I'm using the Isotope Zone.
Okay.
The exciter. It has different algorithm, and each algorithm is good for different situation, and they are quite good for me. And then I normally use a multiband compressor, just to give to the drums a little bit of punch.
Sure.
And nothing else. I'm trying to do as much as I can in the single channel. I mean,
yeah.
I'm considering the boost like the way to make it to make a glue of all sounds inside the group. Just to glue it in some way.
Sure. And what about your master bus then? Do you typically have the same chain on your master all the time, or would you chop and change things depending on the project?
I keep the master channel free, except for some effects, some big effects like effects for breaks or whatever, like reverbs or delays. But I don't use compressor at all during the producing session. I prefer to keep it quite clean, and then when I finish to produce and to put the ideas on the ground, I just try to put some master, some limiter on the master channel to see what's going on, to see if there's too much bass or whatever. But I prefer to separate the production moments when you have to create something, and then the mixing moment where you have to make all sounds sounding good together. And I think a good producer is who can do both things in a parallel way, you know. So building up creatively the song in already making it sounding good. And then when you have to mix it, you find all the elements just perfect.
It's easy.
And fix it in a perfect way. Easy way to do it.
So little steps all the way through the project, as opposed to production for one half and then sort of mixing and mastering at the other end.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great stuff. Well, look, I'm sure you've got plenty to be getting on with. You've a ton of material there that we hope to hear on some great records over the next few months. The first project from Fringe in the Box, it's out on vinyl. When is it released?
It will be released in a couple of weeks worldwide. It's a limited vinyl only. It's a choice. This is our choice to make it a real object. Handmade real object.
No digital release at all?
Yeah. We have a distributor worldwide, but for now it will be vinyl only, no digital at all. Maybe we will do a digital release later.
Okay, and of course, for any Sonic Academy fans in Italy, we can catch you at the Torino Jazz Festival in April. Are you going to be showcasing a lot of this material? Are you going to be doing that in collaboration with some of the instrumentalists, or is it going to be more of an electronic thing?
Yeah, sure. We have a night during the next Turin Jazz Festival where we will experiment real live electronic music with jazz musician on the stage. I already did this the last edition, and the effect is really good, and the people had a lot of fun, I guess. And then we're going to replicate it this next edition with maybe more projects. And I have to say that the musicians are really interested on it, on when they have the chance to experiment something new.
Excellent. Okay, well, look, we wish you all the best with it, and we will, of course, keep an eye on it over the coming months. And thank you very much for joining us today on sonicacademy.com, all the way from Italy. Hugo, all the best.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye.